So good morning, welcome to the start of pack 2. This is stages 9, 10, 11, which is the front right wheel, ladder, nameplate, components for the cab, roof and front wheels, and the left hand side light bar and components for the chassis. Let's see how we get on. So guys, in this issue we're going to be doing, or this video we're going to be doing 3 issues. It sounds like we're going to do a lot, but in actual fact it's not really that much, to be honest with you. So let's have a look at pack 9, and I thought I'd got the staples out. As you can see, I haven't, and it's going to be a nice simple issue. We have got one tyre, front tyre, we've got a wheel, and we've got the sorry guys, we have got the front, the ladder nameplate. Now this looks extremely similar to the piece that we've received before, so let's do a quick comparison. Obviously the question that I've got is, are we going to get confused over these pieces? And I think we are. So I'm going to write on this, and I'm going to put stage 9 on the packaging, because I already know we're not going to use that in this issue. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this tyre while we look at the rest of the parts, because we need to soak that in hot water for about 1 minute. So there it is, plunging into there, and that leaves just the final piece, which is the wheel. And this is a plastic wheel, just like we had before, and it looks like we're possibly going to be doing a single wheel, unlike the double wheel that we had before. So just continue soaking that. Doesn't need a lot to soak. Especially with it being a small wheel. Obviously if it's a larger wheel, that would probably need the full 1 minute or more. So let's see how we've got on with that. I reckon if that's not done, that's not far off. Oh gosh, yeah. So once it's pliable, that's ready, and we just need to get some kitchen roll. Make sure that's fully dried off. Careful, because it is hot, as I just almost found out to my peril. And make sure you get all of the water out. If there's any hot steam or anything in there, that will turn to water once it's cooled down, and I think that's absolutely fine. So what we're going to do then is we're going to pop this wheel into there like so, and usually the easiest way I find to do is just squeeze the tyre slightly, push the wheel in so it's about halfway, and then just start working on turning that, get that first bit in there, and then just work your way round. And you'll normally see it's not been lined up properly, so just work on each of those. This is a little gap there, and then just like before, if you've got a fingernail, just work a fingernail in there, or if not, grab a piece of plastic and just cut around the edges, and then make it nice and rounded and just run it in there. Cocktail stick will probably do it just as well. But there you go, that's that stage done. Stage number 9 is done, and this piece isn't needed, so this is left over for another issue. So on to stage 10, and this is components for the cab, roof and front wheels. Don't know if that's, yeah, it says yes, components for the front wheels, not front wheels. So our parts list is, you know, I'm going to have to expand this on my screen because I'm finding it hard to see the parts. So we've got a front axle, all these bags, and I am finding these bags useful for other things, although in all fairness most of the bags I'm using to put the parts in for this build, because as you know we're not using them all immediately. So we have got a front axle and a track rod, and then we've got some L-type screws, which are these ones there. Normally I do the screws last, but there's 2 screws there, so I'd be interested to know if we just need the one and we've got one spare, or if that's just all we're getting. Then we've got some familiar looking parts. We've got the condenser, and then we've got the condenser grill, and we've got the condenser grill frame. Then we've got a right and a left wheel hub, like so. It looks like this is the right wheel hub, and therefore this will be the left wheel hub, like so. And then we've got 2 coil springs, which I'm not going to remove from the bag. I did this with the other ones, and they're still in the bag. And then we've got a cute little fire extinguisher. Check that out. That's obviously going to be a push fit connection somewhere. Don't know why I didn't remove that from the bag. And last but not least, another familiar-ish looking piece. I say ish because we've seen an LED like this before, but we haven't seen a red one. So that's going to be interesting. So let's begin with the condenser. So we need to assemble the condenser. So we need to take the condenser frame and the condenser grill, and that's now it's asking us to glue this, and there we go, just like before. That's quite a firm-ish connection. I'm not sure actually. I don't think that's going to come off through reasonable wear and tear. So just like before, I'm not going to glue that, but the instructions are asking us to glue. It's asking us to apply a little bit of super glue, but I'm not going to, because the risk of making a mess I think is higher than that coming off. So I'm going to leave. But if I should ever find out that, if that starts to fall off, then I know to super glue it on. Right, and that's going to go on to the condenser again, just like before. And obviously this is designed as some kind of protection. There we go. This condenser is obviously a fan that goes around and round, and birds or humans can put their bits and bobs, or fingertips or legs in there, and that grill is just going to stop them from getting hurt. So there we go. So the next thing we want to do is get our roof, which I thought I had ready, but in actual fact is in the box. So our cab roof, remember we did all these bits before, and we're looking for an orientation that gives us the number 9, which means the condenser is going to go there. So it's going to go mirror image of this, and we've got one peg larger than the other, one hole larger than the other, so I can see it's going to go this way round. Push fit connection, lost it, there we go, push fit connection. This one's quite a stiff connection, but that's gone in absolutely fine. And then next up we want the cab, the light bar. So the orientation we want to the white light is there, and then we're going to pop the red light in, and that's going to go through there like that. You can unravel these wires, but I'm not going to until we actually need to. So the little black framework will go in there, and that will push in. There we go, loving that. So now we've got 2 lights fitted. and then we want to pop this down and we can turn our attentions to the axles. I do like that. Now it's got a couple of lights on. Can't wait to test the electronics. So it's asking us to take the axle, and then we want the left and the right wheel hubs, and it's asking us to put them on like so. And that's not going in. Why is that not going in? Right, I think there is a left and a right. I think these bars may be slightly different sizes. No, I may be wrong there. Right, okay, so I cannot work out. Take the right wheel hub and lower it onto the post of the main front axle. Note the front main axle is symmetrical, so can be placed either way round. Lovely. So what it's asking us to do is take this axle, and there's like a tab that looks like a screw hole, and that needs to be facing upwards. So that can go onto there, and it says that we can place any way round. And then, as I thought they would, the next one is going to go onto there like so. And this one is not a tight connection, so it is going to spin freely. But essentially you've got the axle anyway round, but you've got the left and the front bits. You've got, like, I'm guessing that's going to be the wheel goes on there with the part with the hole facing, I'm going to call it, away from me. So once they're in place, we need to take the track rod, and this is where it's getting a little bit awkward because the pictures aren't fantastic. Take the track rod and rest it on the main axle, just behind the wheel hubs. Lift up the wheel hub and hook the projecting hole over the pin on the track rod. Right, okay, so let me do a little test fit, more for distance rather than anything else. Right, so on this track rod I can see there's two little pins, but there's a little bulb on the end, and it looks to me like these are going over the track rods. However, it looks like this is coming upwards. So I'm just going to have a little look ahead. Yes, right. So we want, you see where we've got these two axles, and you've got the part with a hole, which isn't a screw hole, and we've got these two rods with a bulb. So what we want is we want this to come up from underneath. So the first one will be easy to pop in, and then you see I lift that up. Then this one's going to go in, and that's pop. So what we're going to get is this is going to form our steering. So when you move this track rod, can you see how the wheels are turning? So let's have a look at the side view, and if we lift the axles up, I mean, you don't need to put the axles on before you put the track rod, but obviously it's going to make it a little bit easier. So with those axles lifted up, can you see how we kind of have some rudimentary steering? It's not great steering at the moment because that's all we've got, but there'll obviously be some kind of bar there attached to the steering wheel. So that's that section done, and I can see that from my eyes view, it looks like they will line up straight, so that's always a bonus. And that is not it. So the next step, we want our front wheel, and we want to place that wheel onto one of the axles, and I can see that what is now the longer side is going to be behind us with this axle pointing upwards, and that's going to go on like that. And let's see if this is as good a fit as the other wheel. Do you know, I think it's going to be perfect. Wow. Okay, and we know what's coming next, but we'll just double check the instructions anyway. So we want one of these type L screws. So it looks like we've got a spare one this issue. And we want our screwdriver, and let's try and use the supplied screwdriver. Okay, so type L screwdriver, and we just want to screw that wheel into the axle. And this is going to be quite awkward because I've got very little to hold on to. To be honest with you though, with this screwdriver, that is really making light work of that. Now I can actually hold the wheel, which makes life a lot easier. So I'm just going to keep screwing that on. You know what, it was there anyway. Right, so I'm feeling that's a little bit too tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back that screw off just a tiny bit, about a quarter of a screw. Oops, and now the whole axle's fallen off. Oh well, let's carry on where we are. So that's still a little bit stiff for me, so I'm going to back it off just maybe another quarter of a screw. There we go. That's still catching a little bit, but I feel that a lot of that is to do with the fact that the piece is new. So I will just back that off just a tiny bit more. I don't want to back it off too much because it's going to create wheel wobble, but I'm now happy with that wheel. So let's get the axle back on that's just fallen off. There we go. So you can now see that we've got some kind of steering on the way. And that, I believe, is the end of stage 10. We do have a leftover. Oh, sorry, I apologise. We have missed one piece out, which is to install the springs. So it's asking us to put the springs onto there, which I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not going to is because those springs could get lost. So I'm going to prefer to keep them in the bag. When we actually fix this to something, then I will pop those in the bag. So there's our fire extinguisher that's left over, so we'll obviously need that at some point. And then our two screws, and then we're on to stage 11. So 11 is the left hand side light bar and components for the chassis. So let's have a look at these parts, and these parts are starting to come through thick and fast now. It's getting quite exciting. So the parts in no particular order is we have this cylinder. You know what, maybe I should have got these parts out before I open the bag. Open the bags before I get the parts out. So this is a cylinder, and this is quite an interesting piece because at first I thought it was metal, but it's actually a hard plastic. This is a cross member, and this is a connector. These are all plastic. Next we have a silver exhaust pipe. Wow, and this is metal. That's interesting because I would have thought this would have been plastic because it's more decorative than anything else. As far as our model is concerned, it's more decorative, but that's metal. We also have a light bar which is red. So it's getting exciting now. We're now going to have two red lights and a white light. So again, exactly the same as we saw earlier on, except this one's red. We have got, that's interesting, I think they've given us too many parts in this issue. So, because in this bag, we seem to have another cylinder, another cross member, and another connector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that in the bag. We'll put that to one side. I'll contact Agora and I'll see if they want them back. So lastly, we have 2 more pieces, and we've got a chassis front part A, which that's got some detail on it. That's quite interesting. I have no idea what that detail is, but it looks interesting. And then we'll see if this has got much detail on it. This is chassis front part B, and I notice that there's no screws, so lots of push fitting connecting. Right, so again some more detail, so that would explain why it's plastic, because there's some nice fine detail there. So rather liking that. Right, so first thing we need to do is get our roof, and we're going to be fitting the light, and it's obvious where the light's going to fit, because there now is only one remaining space. So that's going to attempt to go in there. There we go, that's gone in fine. So just be careful with the housing. Once you've got one side in, the rest of it just seems to want to follow, but it's just getting that first bit in. So there we go, we can really tell what this is trying to be now, can't we, with the lights. But that's gone in nice. And guess what? That is the end of the stage. So having got all of those parts out, I'm now going to put them back into a bag. So that is it for stage 9. Do you know, I've forgotten the stage numbers. 9, 10 and 11. So that's to say that's 3 stages. So that actually, to be honest with you, that's quite a collection of bits of plastic and metal there. That's 3 stages. So what did you think of that, guys? That kind of caught me by surprise, because there was so little to actually do in stage 11 compared to how many parts there were. But it's really coming along now, isn't it? I've actually been keeping all the parts. Normally I have a little drawer for parts, but I've been keeping the parts in the box from stage 1. So I'll probably continue to do so. So let's pop that away. And I quite enjoyed that, actually. For 3 stages, I thought that was a reasonable amount of work. Now, by now, obviously we've got a few issues in, and I've also, as you'll know, I've been doing the Eddie Stobart. And the Eddie Stobart and the fire truck seems to be suffering from the same issue, which is we are just parts collecting at the moment. How do you feel about that? Do you mind? Do you think, well, if that's the way it is, then that's just the way it is? Or do you feel that it's a necessary evil? Are you upset with that? Is that putting you off the build? I'd be interested to know if you're not doing the build because of this. So tell me your thoughts, guys. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off now, and then I will be back in the next video. Now, we've got some oddly numbered issues, and by that I mean we are going to be doing stage 12, then we move on to stage 12B, which is the main chassis, door steps and wheel arches. Then we go on to stage 13. Now, trying to think of the best order to do that in, and how much work there is to do. I think we'll do stage 12 and 12B. I think there's going to be quite a lot of work to do. So yeah, guys, so join me in the next episode then, where we'll be doing 12 and 12B, and I'll catch you next week.